game of chess is like a sword fight. You must think first, right? Before you move.
Welcome everybody to another edition of Brian Speaks On. I am your main provocateur and admin of Brian Speaks On, and today I wanted to get into a subject that might irritate a lot of my own people, but it's one of those things that I think needs to be spoken on a little bit strongly. And as you can hear from the music playing in the background, it's all about learning how to play the game. And one thing that I have to kind of admonish my own people about within my culture is that we have yet to learn how to play the game. You know, we know, and what makes it worse is that we have come to an age of intellect and an age of spreading information that allows us to know that, one, a game does exist, and two, how exactly it works. And the fact that we know these two things and we still don't act upon those two elements and come up with a correct strategy to play that game still baffles me, and it still irritates me. I know a lot of it is based on the centuries of psychological abuse handed down upon us through a white supremacist system and stuff like that. But there comes a point where you have to take ownership. You know, we could talk about the things that we are not in control of, and everybody that knows me knows that I am all about letting people know about that system and about that game. But at the same time, we only further exacerbate our own travails and our own struggle. You know, people out here seem to still be playing checkers when the game is chess, and they don't understand. But they'll sit there and they'll bitch and complain about stuff. You wonder why you're not successful in life. But you do things that fall right into the pitfalls and the bear traps of this game. And what further irritates me too, on another note, is that we, among ourselves, there is a section of people who will chastise people who challenge our own people. You know, like one person will sit there and call our people out on our fuckery, and then you'll get like this large group of people who will sit there and defend the fuckery of the other person because of this weird sense of logic. You know, like, we'll talk about how I don't want to you know, just single out one gender, but the first thing that comes to mind on both sides, you have a parent who recklessly and irresponsibly has a whole bunch of kids, and you bring these kids into this world. You have no plan on how to take care of them. You have no money in which to take care of them. You have no career job in which to create a foundation on cultivating them and shaping them and molding them into productive people of society. Now, what have you done for these children? You've completely put them behind the 8 ball and brought them into a game that you already know is set against you. You already knew that before you had the kids. But you still do, you make bad decisions, and you bring kids, innocents, into this world who have no choice but to be raised under a certain set of circumstances. Their mentality is molded and shaped in a certain way. Now they're living a particular kind of negative life because that's all they know. That's the life that they were brought into, so that's the life that they know, and so continues the cycle. Now, that's just one example. And you'll have somebody that'll point something like that out, and then you'll get a whole bunch of apologists and people who want to justify these things by saying, oh, well, we shouldn't get at our own people because we have all these other people getting at our own people, and life is already so hard for the black man and for the black woman. You know, we got all these white people trying to make us feel a certain way and put us down and so on and so forth. But what does that have to do with white people? You know, what does making bad decisions like that have to do with white people? That has nothing to do with anybody. You know, It has nothing to do with anybody but you. You are in control of stuff like that. You make decisions as a man and a woman on how to use your body and how to be responsible in having children. And again, I can't be mad at a lot of these kids because look at the conditions that they were brought into, and it goes beyond just these so-called parents out here, rearing these children in these horrible conditions and just basically passing it down. It's just, again, we speak about being angry about racism and when it comes to advertisers and media and clothing designers and things like that, but we still do nothing but act as consumers. We'll talk about all this stuff, but nobody seems to want to spearhead some type of, not even spearhead, like just there is no grassroots cultivation of black ownership. And again, when I say that, of course, I'm not putting everybody under an umbrella. There's no such thing as a complete blanket statement that applies to everybody. We all know that. That should go without saying. But there is a severe lack of it. And I know that I've heard of certain areas in the country that are starting to have grassroots black-owned business foundations coming up in communities and stuff like that. And I really hope that blows up. I really hope that that's factual stats. But as of right now, we don't talk about making our own way. We talk about just doing things as is, knowing that the game is set in a certain way for us to do that very thing. And that's exactly what we do. We do that very thing. We talk about gentrification in the hood and stuff like that, when all we need to do is pool our resources and we could buy the hood. And that's not an exaggerated thing to say. That's a very tangible thing that can be done. It only takes one thing, and that's getting it together. And that's the one thing that we never seem to be able to do. And that doesn't have anything to do with white supremacists, the system of white supremacy. It doesn't have anything to do with that. It does have it has an effect on us due to the, again, like I said, it has an effect due to the programming of that system. But when you are enlightened and you know that this thing exists, once you know better, it's on you after that. You can claim ignorance if you really don't know. But once you know, now it's on you. Now you're the person who is in control of what happens to you. And again, I know that these things go back way before the majority of us have been alive. But again, when is it going to stop? When are we going to start setting the new standard? When are we going to when are we going to start calling ourselves out on our fuckery? And going back to that point of, we shouldn't get at each other. I think we should get at each other. We should be the first ones to get at each other, because at least when it's coming from us, it's coming from a source of tough love. It's like, look, I gotta call you out on your bullshit, but I'm doing it because we need to get up out of this. And if it's coming from an outside source, it's probably coming from complete malice and disdain and just a complete lack of respect. At least when it comes from within, that's like, you calling family out. Does that mean, you don't love your family? But at the same time, does that mean that family is somehow exempt from getting called out? No, you gotta call them out. You gotta call people out on their BS. And we got a lot of BS that needs to get called out. And stop apologizing for black fuckery. Stop it. Stop acting like you don't know people who symbolize and represent the very stuff that gets criticized out here. We need to own up to ours. You know, and you see that that's a very powerful word, ownership. We need to take ownership. We need to take ownership with our own dysfunction, because one thing that we continue to do is we talk and we do things from a position of weakness. That's the difference between our culture and these other cultures out here. You know, when the Jewish people and the Asian people within their communities do things, or something happens that they don't like, they react from a position of strength. You know, because they're together in a certain way. They may not know each other, you know, but you know when you're in one of their communities, even though they may not know each other directly. You go into a particular cultural community, you know that you are now in Chinatown, or you know that you are now in Little Korea, or something like that, because those people have a foundation. You know, they may not own the building that they live in, but best believe that the building is owned by someone of their culture. You know, the place that they purchase their food and shop in and buy clothing or order things or whatever, that's within. That's infrastructure. They have an infrastructure, and they have come to understand the game, that you can't play the game from a position of weakness. You have no power, and that is our problem. Funny thing is that we're probably the most powerful people of this country and of this planet, which is a crazy kind of sick irony. You know, because if we played from a position of power, guess what would happen? All types of beautiful, glorious things would happen. But we can't seem to get it together. And I'm calling us out on it. And if you don't like it, there's my Kanye shrug for you. But I'ma say it, because I'd rather be the one calling us out than somebody outside of our culture. So I'm going to call us out on our fuckery. We need to take ownership, period. We need to take ownership of our homes. We need to take ownership of our bodies, of our decision making. We need to stop messing with people and having affairs with people just for the most shallowest reasons. You know, we need to take ownership of our children's education. We need to be more involved as parents. We need to be more involved less as consumers and more as owners. You know, entrepreneurs, proprietors, business people. You know, once we start doing that, the shift is going to be seismic, man. And I would really love to start seeing that happen before I get too old to really be able to enjoy it. And with that, I'm going to cut things a little bit short because I've already been long-winded about this. But like I said, this is not a new topic, but it is something that I felt needed to be spoken on. And I gotta speak on it. So with that, whoever listens, whoever watches, I thank you. I'm humbled by your spectatorship, and I appreciate it. And I hope that you take this perspective and feel me on some kind of level. And to everybody, let's all be blessed, and let's all take some ownership, little by little, one thing at a time, progression. All right, peace to everybody. Blessings to us all. Later.